Jesus says to pastors and churches that seek treasures on earth rather than treasures in heaven, because thou sayest, I am rich, be zealous therefore and repent. Revelations 3:17 through 19. True Christian values are the Christian liberal values of Jesus Christ, namely raising taxes on the super rich to feed, clothe, and house the poor through better paying jobs for all Americans. A true Christian votes based upon the teachings of Jesus Christ rather than based upon the teachings of the radical rich and their millionaire puppets on TV. A true Christian will only vote for candidates who promise to raise taxes on the super rich by at least $200 billion in order to invest in America's future through solar, wind, and hybrid energy. How many solar panels, windmills, and hybrid vehicles can be purchased by Americans with $200 billion a year in financial assistance? How many jobs would that create to feed, clothe, and house poor workers of America? With the $1 trillion 5-year program, how soon would America be energy independent and have the financial power to economically boycott oil producers that finance radical Islam terrorism? Only by taxing the super rich can we finance and win the global economic war against terrorism. We can defeat global terrorism within 10 to 20 years through an economically powerful and energy-independent America. America needs a new future and new leadership that serves God and the people of America rather than serving the radical rich economic dictators of America who are destroying America from within. Have the courage to speak the taboo truth that the radical rich are economic dictators and are guilty of economic treason against the people of America. We can create good paying jobs for every American worker, thus feed, clothe, and house every American. Become energy independent through trillions of tax dollars used to finance solar, wind, hybrid, and alternative energy. Have long-term prosperity through lower energy costs. Win the global economic war against terrorism. Politically and economically pressure nations to eliminate the teaching of religious hatred and murder in the name of God. Defeat global terrorism within 10 to 20 years. But only if we raise taxes on the super rich by at least $200 billion and raise taxes on imports from communist China by at least 100%. True Christian values are the Christian liberal values of Jesus Christ, namely raising taxes on the super rich to create good-paying jobs to feed, clothe, and house the poor. Since only Democrats follow the Christian liberal values of Jesus Christ, true Christians only vote for Democrats. Vote Democrat to feed, clothe, and house Jesus Christ.
Well, now, in my conclusion to all of what you just heard, I inserted certain comments, but now I'm going to put it all on the bottom line, and that is this. First of all, he's talking about the Jesus Christ being a liberal. Jesus Christ is neither a liberal or a conservative. He is Jesus Christ. He is God in the flesh. That's the first thing. God, he does not have any conservative, if you will, or liberal policies or views. He just essentially tells us what is right and what is wrong. And he has problems when it comes down with people trying to label him and make him seem less righteous than what he is. The problem seems to come into the fact that I don't know where this person is getting this $200 billion from. You notice he kept on mentioning the sum of $200 billion and the fact that We need to force the rich, take the money from the rich and give it to the poor. It's almost like the Robin Hood syndrome. But if you look at Robin Hood, anybody that knows anything about Robin Hood, who was it that he was taking money from? It wasn't he was taking the money from the rich. He was taking the money from the Sheriff of Nottingham, who was getting the money from the people in the form of taxes. And see, whether you look at it from whichever standpoint you want to look at it as, taxes essentially, especially in this culture here, are unjust in a lot of ways. And one of the main things is we still have to deal with a party that, number one, this man says Christians should support, but this party is actually at war with God, because everything that God hates, this party supports. And that's abortion, gay marriage, affirmative action, separation of church and state. How you going to tell a Christian to support a party that doesn't want to have anything to do with God? And then this individual here is saying that we need to follow godly principles and elect people that's going to follow godly principles. Well, of the two parties, and I'll say this again, no party is perfect, but of the two parties, the Republican Party is the closest to being in line with what God says. Am I saying that God is on the side of the Republicans? No, I'm saying that the Republicans are on God's side, or they're trying to be and enact things and do things according to what God says is right and wrong. It's the Democrats that fight against anything that has the smell of God. So you can take that and look at it and say, well, why should a Christian support the Democratic Party if the party is at war with the Christ that we're supposed to be serving? See, this stuff here just, it irritates me to the point, like I say, you see I'm responding to it because it's this type of foolishness that people have drummed into their heads and their way of thinking that goes totally against even common sense. But like I said, there's so many holes in the thing, as I'm saying. The reason why we have the poor and so forth, among other things, is because of our policies with abortion, gay marriage, and the like, which basically has put this nation under a curse. If you go read Deuteronomy chapter number 28 and read the first 14 or 15 verses, you'll see all of the blessings that come on a land or on a people when they are doing what is right in God's eyes. But from verses 15 or 16 down to the end, you see what happens to a nation or a people when they go against what God says. I want to put to you the fact that this nation and the people that are poor and that are suffering in this nation, raising taxes on the rich to try to provide for them, is not going to get it, because that's not where the core of the problem lies. The core of the problem lies in the sin that this nation is promoting and supporting. And as I said before, you only have to look at one party that supports all of this foolishness, and that's the Democratic Party. So, like I'm saying, this man, like I say, I see he's reading something that somebody else wrote, and he's reading it word for word. Well, whoever the person you reading from, you need to tear that mess up, because unless we get right with God and get rid of abortion, this support for gay marriage or gay rights, and get rid of this notion of separation of church and state, get rid of affirmative action, get rid of environmentalism, get rid of all of this other foolishness, animal rights, stuff, get rid of that foolishness, then God can bless this nation. But until we get rid of that, I don't care whether you're going to raise how much you're going to raise taxes, because in the first place, we're so far in the debt that we have already, if you took every dime that everybody had and tried to pay it toward the debt, it's not going to work, because we're so much in the debt now. It's going to take 10 or 15 years if we took every dime that the rich had and tried to do provide jobs and so forth. Plus the fact, you have to realize that government does not provide or create jobs. That is something that happens when the quote-unquote rich go out and start up new businesses and so forth, and invest their money into new businesses. When you raise taxes on them, what you do is you cause them to stop investing money, which in turn starts shutting a lot of businesses down, and people start losing their jobs. So you need to get an economics lesson. You also need to get primarily get some learning about just what Jesus Christ has to say about all these other things first, before you even begin to try to talk about raising taxes on the rich and so forth. Well, that's all I got to say today. Like I say, you know, when I get chance to, I'll respond to this foolishness and put the other side of, show you the other side of the coin, which a lot of these people just don't, they just don't think. I'm not saying that the man is stupid, but when I listen to stuff like this and his reasoning behind that, or the reasoning behind the individual whose letters he was reading there, just goes to show you we got a lot of dangerous people in this world that think they know so much and they don't know beans about anything. Good day.